What's good, guys? Gadako here, and I'm back, bro. I hope you guys had a very good week. I only know it's been a couple days. Like I said, I'm going to start getting really consistent again in terms of what I am posting, how I am posting, and the manner of which I am posting. I said the same thing 3 different times. Sometimes I'm stupid. But I recently just went through a huge breakthrough that I want to share with you guys. And honestly, this is going to be, again, touching on the aspect of relationships and females. And it's something that myself I struggle with as well, and it's something I continuously do to improve. Is I pursue females not in a chasing manner, but in a way that allows my insignificancies to be highlighted, because I'm looking for a wife in my life, and I hope you are too, a wife or a husband if you are a female watching this. And what relationships are going to do is obviously they're going to help you improve, especially if those relationships don't work. Your insignificancies are going to be highlighted, and then from the next to the next to the next, hopefully there's not too many nexts, you're going to constantly become better. And maybe my philosophy could be skewed on that. Maybe you're supposed to become the best version of yourself with one individual, but there's a lot of things that go into that. But this video is about This video is about holding your relational standards, especially as a man. But if you're a woman watching this, then just kind of reframe it from your perspective as a woman, and, you know, kind of take the meat, leave the bones, so to speak, because we do have different positions in society in terms of our roles and whatever that kind of may be. But the first thing that I want to uncover is, 1, hold your frame relationally, right? No matter what kind of relationship that you're in life, whether it be a romantic one, a partnership, or just something within your family, you know, just any kind of relationship that you have in life, you're going to have boundaries, you're going to have standards, and there's going to be things that you want to uphold. But as humans, I'm sure, as you're kind of realizing now, the more that you grow and the more relationships that you have, you tend to somewhat compromise on certain things. And that could be for loads and loads of different reasons. And what I've realized now is that the people who do make all of these compromisations when it comes to their relationships, they lack the knowledge on why they compromise and why they continuously compromise over and over and over again, especially if it's going to be on the exact same things. Like, I'll break you guys down a little bit of a story in terms of kind of what I've been experiencing for the past couple females and women that I've kind of pursued, and it is me compromising on my standards because of sexual access. And that's the one thing that I'll compromise on based sometimes my top 3 standards, because I'm getting sex. And that's something that I'm battling with now. I'm battling with my lust, and then my ability to just, you know, sift through the rubbish just because I'm getting pussy. And I hope that's not the same thing that you would do. And I want to work as hard and relentlessly to not be that man, to not continuously be that man, because a man who's compromising on his standard for sex is a weak man, a very, very, very weak man. And that's something we've kind of uncovered before. But there's also a lot of other reasons why people compromise on their standards, and it doesn't have to be the biggest things. It doesn't have to be, and it could be the smallest, but sometimes you could be compromising on certain things because you're lonely. You know, you were alone for a very long time, and you're just willing to kind of grab whatever thing comes your way, and you just look through life with rose tinted eyes. That's one reason. Another reason may be because you have voids in your life that you're trying to fill. You know, whether you haven't necessarily been religious, there's an argument that religion doesn't fill voids, or rather that you've had so much of a crazy sexual past that you still want to fill something in. And that's why you compromise on all of your standards relationally, because you have voids that you want to fill. And then the last thing, it is kind of more prominent in regards to females, and that's the validation. It's actually not even just, it goes cross gender, males or females. We all want certain validation in our life, and sometimes when you're not getting the validation that you want from your father, from your mother, or from your in group, whether that be the friends at school, people at work, when you're not getting that validation that you're seeking, you're going to go seek it otherwise. And if you find somebody in your life, they don't meet all your standards, but they fill that void and they give you that validation that you've been missing, you're going to latch onto it. And it takes a different individual to understand that. Like I said in my previous video, it takes somebody to be on the dissection level of thinking to be able to look within their mind in a third person view. And it sounds kind of contradicting, because what person is able to see what they're thinking? And that's what that's what I want you to understand, is that there is multiple layers to your mind. And if you can't grasp the dissection level of your mind and be able to see what you're thinking, then you're missing out, again, on the joys of life and the ability to continuously improve to a degree that's actually going to make you evolve as a man or a woman. So that's one thing you need to get. You need to figure out why you're compromising on these certain things, and start dissecting and start digging a little bit deeper. because I don't want you to continuously compromise on the same things, because the same voids are getting filled over and over and over and over again. Figure out what those voids are, figure out the validation that you're missing, and then do research on why that validation isn't so necessary. What you can do to validate yourself, what you can do to make sure that you're getting the reassurance you need from you, the work that you put in as an individual. That's one thing you need to grasp. So hold your frame relationally and don't compromise because you're lonely, because you have voids that you need to fill, or because you're not getting the validation that you want. I don't want that to be you. I've done that in the past, and now I'm kind of evolving past that point and being able to, like, if there's certain standards that aren't being met, I'm not going to compromise on them for anything. Fuck that shit, because it always ends up in fucking failure, bro. It always does. And I don't want that to be you. So I hope that you can kind of take that gem. And the second thing I guess you need to understand is that you have the right, as a man, as a woman, as a human fucking being, you have the right to what you're willing to accept. You have the right to what you're willing to accept. I mean, yes, in certain cases, especially when it comes down to women, like, I'll be honest, the big kind of elephant in the room and kind of what derives this kind of topic and being able to hold your relational standards is being a man and finding a woman with a high body count. I've talked about this before, and I said it's easy to have standards behind a keyboard screen. It's easy for me to have standards behind a camera, all of that kind of stuff. And I understand that. I understand it to a complete, full degree. I do. But like I was saying, yes, the past somebody's past. Say you meet a girl, she has a very, very, very promiscuous past. The reason why she ended up embarking on that endeavor and kind of letting anybody come into her temple may not 100% be her fault. She could have went through trauma. She could have, not been led the right way by her parents and just kind of had a lot of lack of guidance. But you as a man or as a woman, you have a right to not have to accept that. It's not your responsibility to take on somebody else's bad luck. As harsh as that sounds, that is just the truth. Whether that be trauma, sexual sin, or anything else. You don't have to accept damaged goods as an individual. And that's just the harsh truth, bro. You don't have to. No matter how good the present feels or the honeymoon feels, if you're constantly thinking about that person's past and what they've did or kind of what perspectives they have on the world when you're not with them, then it's time for you to let go. Because again, you're compromising. You're compromising on your standards because voids are being filled, and because you think that you have to accept it. You have to accept those things. You don't have to accept them, especially if you're somebody especially if you see yourself as someone who's high value, because I'm sure you do, or someone who will be more high value. Start acting like it. And I'm not saying be egotistical and say like this, that. No, I can't have a boyfriend who has this, that, because in some cases you're not even deserving of a woman like that. You're not even deserving of a man like that. So that's one thing to just kind of keep in your head. But when it comes to a woman with a promiscuous past, like, I'll be kind of honest, the biggest thing that I've kind of derived from past situations is that I don't want my woman to have come to display wifey qualities now, because I don't want my woman to have come to a great conclusion because she got ran through in the past. I want her to have known her value from a young age. And you may say not every woman is going to know that, and that's true. And I have the right to accept and to not accept certain women. I have a right to accept women who know their value, know their worth to some degree. I have a right to want that. I have a right to accept that. And I have a right to refuse women who didn't. I don't give a damn what reason that may be. If you weren't raised right, if you didn't have the right guidance, or if any kind of trauma happened in the past, because that is not my responsibility, unfortunately. And that's just the case. And if you're willing to kind of hold that frame as an individual, you're going to gain much more respect for yourself, and people are going to gain much more respect for you. And that's, as a man, obviously the main thing that we want is what? Respect. So just keep that kind of framework in mind. And as a man, if you want to list just a little nugget, you want your wife to display wifey qualities from the jump. You don't want her to start displaying wifey qualities because she got ran through and then she realized that she didn't know her worth and she didn't know her value. The best women are the ones who need their value from the jump. And if you can find those gems, go for it. Don't compromise on a woman who's showing them now. She doesn't do these things now anymore. You don't want to hear that shit in her behavior. I don't do those things anymore. This, that. I don't have to accept your past. You don't have to accept mine either, bro. I'd completely understand if you were disgusted by what I did in the past. or the different ideologies that I hold, because you don't have a right to accept me. It goes both ways. It goes both ways. So understand that you have a right to accept whatever you want. And that's the second thing to understand. The third thing to understand is the term that I derived from. It's called psychological justification anchoring. And what this basically means is that there's going to be certain things that you accept and that you start to justify in life. And the only reason you accept those things or justify those things is because you did them. Like if you ever hear a girl saying, yeah, the past doesn't matter. Yeah, I have 20 plus bodies, 30 plus bodies, but you shouldn't even look at this. That shouldn't even matter because I'm a different person now. I'm a changed individual. I don't do those things anymore. Again, that vocabulary. I don't do those things anymore. The only reason she says that is because she's that individual. But if she was a virgin, she'd be seeking a virgin. And I said, and this is me too, bro. When I was a virgin, bro, I wanted a girl with under 3 bodies. I wanted a girl with none. I wanted another virgin. But then when I got to I have it here, but when I got to 3 bodies, I was able to accept 2. When I got to 10, or say I did get to 10, then I would be accepting 5. And for example, if you got to 15, then you'd be accepting of 10. And if you got to 20 plus, then you'd be accepting of 15. So your anchor point is going to continuously increase as your experiences increase. You're going to start to accept and justify more. That's just how it is, bro. Because before I ever smoked weed, I said I'd never smoke weed. And I don't get why people smoke weed. They're stupid. But then as soon as you smoke weed, you get why people smoke weed. And then you're able to kind of justify marijuana, and you're able to justify this and justify that. So you got to be careful with what these individuals are saying, whether that be your future husband or whether that be your future wife, because the only reason they're saying these certain things is that doesn't matter, that shouldn't matter, that shouldn't this, is because that is them. And for some reason, all of a sudden, when a woman has 20 bodies, 30 bodies or more, it doesn't matter anymore. Why is that? Because they're ashamed. They're ashamed of it, bro. And that's just kind of how it is. So don't fall into that kind of trap, but understand that it's a human nature. Like no matter what, you're going to continue, like your anchoring points, like your justification points are always going to be off your experiences. They're always going to be anchored to whatever you did. That's going to be the anchoring point to what you did. So if your body count is 3, that's your anchor point now. Then you'll accept 2. If your anchor point is 15, then you're going to accept minimum 10, or not minimum 10, like maximum 10. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The last thing that I'll say is that, look, I've tried extremely hard, relentlessly hard to not subscribe to the ideologies that social media has given to me, and I want you to do the same. And even if it's in my videos and I'm telling you to not accept this and not accept that, don't accept that either. Don't accept what I'm saying for face value. Try to seek for your own ideologies and try to seek for your own things. And yeah, the fourth and final thing is that you have to seek for your own standards. You have to seek for your own standards, and that's why I didn't want to subscribe to any of these ideologies and say women who have high body counts are worthless, they don't deserve any of my time, etc., etc., etc. Because I've been through a decent amount of women, and the first woman that I figured out her body count was high, she was out of my door. She was gone. And then, I had some conversations with myself, with God, whatever it may be, and I realized that's not the right way to move forward. And the only reason I had that ideology in my head was because of social media. So then I tried to seek for my own standards, because like I said, my standards are not your standards. You can't have my standards if you didn't have the experience that I had. You can't say that you don't want a woman with 20 bodies if you've never had one, because you don't know why. You just hear my reason why. But therefore you have no proof. There's no merit. There's no merit there. So that's why I'm saying I had to seek out my own standards, and that's what I'm continuously doing as a man, so that the things that I say will have way more conviction and there's way more truth to it. Because once I have my own standards, now I'm not compromising. But because the standards that you are subscribed to aren't your standards, that's why you're compromising. So let me go back to that. I tried to get rid of the idea of that women who have high body counts are worthless and they don't deserve my time. Therefore, I've tried again with women who have it, but I've constantly been coming down to the same conclusion. They always say the same bullshit that this doesn't matter, and then I always have these self-doubts in my head if she's talking to other people, if I'm the best that she's ever had, whatever it kind of may be. And maybe that can derive from my own insecurities and my own promiscuous past. If I had one, I don't. I'm a virgin. So there's just certain things that you kind of need to understand, bro, about that. And a lot of women there's one thing that they'll say, they live in delusion. There's women who are going to be living in delusion. We live in some sort of delusion as well. And the delusion that the past doesn't come back to haunt you. The delusion that there's no consequences. The consequences is that you can't talk about your past purely. You can't talk about your past with joy. You can't stand on that with an example. Because if your body count was low, you'd be screaming it from the rooftops. But you're not. You put a blanket off and you're in the corner. You're in the corner of the building. And you try to hide it and stuff it down and say it doesn't matter. Accept me for who I am now. How, as a man, how can I show you off? How? The consequence of that is as soon as you tell your future partner that you're past, as soon as you tell your future partner your body count or whatever, the consequence that you face is thinking forever that they're holding it against you. And do you want that burden on a relationship? Do you want it? There's going to be a lot of men out there who will accept these things. So don't think that you need to step up and be the man who provides love for these lost women. Because there's going to be the men who accept that. And that's why those men are there. That's their mission. That's their goal. That's why God put them to where they are. Because women like that still deserve love. They still deserve a man. They still deserve the right to procreate and find somebody who will accept them for who they are. But you don't have to be that man. Don't try to be a fucking hero for anybody. Because that's not your title. And if you have these doubts and those thoughts, I've talked about this before, listening to your inner God and your daemon inside of your voice who's calling you to more. If within your head and the signs that you're getting is telling you to walk away, then that's what you should do and listen. And every time you do walk away, you have more peace, you have more clarity, you have more understanding about who you are as a man. Then why would you stay and why would you continuously try? But I've tried multiple times, man, because I'm like, there's just no way. Like, this is probably something, it has to be something I could try to get past. I could try to get past a woman with a promiscuous past to that degree. Keep in mind, there's a degree. Obviously, not everyone's going to be a completely pure saint virgin, but like to a degree, right? Even my psychological anchoring point has changed because of my experiences in the past. But the biggest thing to understand is that listen to yourself and listen to your voice, brother. Because if in your head telling you to walk away and you're having all these doubts, you should listen. You should definitely listen. So, yeah. Just be careful with a lot of women who project a lot of religious stuff, a lot of mindset stuff, because you don't necessarily know why they're there. You want to find a woman who's been there from the jump. And the women who come, I'm not like the women who come to those religious conclusions and trying to be a wife now and slow down now, or women who've been ran through and women who've had a crazy past. And then what they're going to do is they're going to read all these books and try to exactly find what they're looking for. They're going to read the Bible, to read the Quran and try to justify what they've done. Yes, Jesus forgives, God forgives everybody else, but I'm not Jesus, bro. I'm sorry, bro. Like, I'm not even trying to be funny about it. That's just not who I am. That's just not who I am, man. And if a woman's body count didn't matter, then they wouldn't spend so much time trying to justify it. They wouldn't be ashamed to ever say it. So, yeah. Keep that in mind, man. Hold your relational standards as a man, as a woman, because that's what is going to allow you to have more respect for yourself as an individual. I wouldn't want you to constantly beat yourself down and just know that you're coping, you're compromising, you're settling for less, because you deserve what you are, essentially. And part of me always thinks that if all these kind of women are falling into my lap, then maybe there's work that needs to be done on my end. Maybe the woman that I'm like, you attract what you are to some degree, so maybe the man that I am right now needs more work. And that's just God continuously telling me, yo, keep it up, keep grinding. Because I'll be honest, the quality of each woman that I come encounter with, it does increase. So therefore I know I'm increasing, and I hope that's the same that's happening for you as a man or as a woman. I hope the quality of your partners is continuously increasing, because that shows that you are increasing your value. So keep it up, stay grinding, stay working. Don't fold for pussy, don't fold for validation, don't fold for chivalry, don't fold for attention. Your standards are your standards. Don't fold. Don't compromise. Because that's what's going to lower your value even more. It's going to take longer for you to ascend. You don't want to descend. So hold your relational standards. Love you. Start tomorrow strong, G. Peace.